I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, always works that way, because there are other ways to offset. I think some of the threes, quite honestly, were a byproduct of, there's always a battle at the point of screens offensively and defensively, and I thought really on both ends of the floor, they won those battles there in a lot of ways. I think that contributed to the ball getting where it needed to go, and putting us in some rotations and some long rotations at times, but they shot the ball exceptionally well. You give them credit for doing that. We didn't shoot it nearly as well, and certainly we did not generate nearly as many threes, as they did, because I thought they did a good job defensively.
It just seems like it's so difficult, in this NBA to catch up when you don't have a high volume of threes that you'll be able to shoot, because it goes so close back and forth.
Yeah. It does, but the other thing too is, you can look at it the other way. You can try to take away old threes and then basically give up higher percentage shots. You can give up more shots at the basket. You can give up more free throws. Sometimes when the ball goes to the paint, you're going to be everybody's going to be in rotation. So you're almost having to do that. I like we had discussed earlier. I don't. I think a lot of times when teams take a lot of threes, just generally, I think it's a byproduct of the ball getting to the paint, and the ball being sprayed out, and maybe it's creating a closeout or another guy to drive it, to the paint. But everybody's trying to get to the paint because it's the highest percentage shots, where fouls take place, where offensive rebounds take place. A lot of good things happen there. But I didn't feel like they came down and just started bombing up threes with, out of any passes. I thought a lot of it comes through ball movement, player movement, and drives. And like I said, Jet generally starts at the point of the screen where it's one-on-one in space, guarding a guy, or whether it's two men on the ball, handling pick and roll. And I thought they got a lot of separation on us tonight, quite honestly, in their screening actions.
Just wait some more. What is, this game, just with so few left, vis-a-vis you in Atlanta, what does it mean, for what's left?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a few days here. I think back-to-backs are always challenging. They're always going to be challenging physically. It's part of it. Everybody's got to deal with them. We do have a little bit of a break here. I think recovery will be important for our guys, to try to get back. We've obviously had some guys log a lot of minutes, and certainly a lot of minutes the last 2 nights. So the break of having 3 days will be good, but certainly on the back end, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, just because I think we play 6 games in 10 days. So that becomes challenging, and then we're still got a back-to-back, one more left before the season closes out.
Billy, going back to something. You guys clinched the playing spot tonight, despite the loss, because the Nets lost. Does that change your approach at all to these final games, or the fact that you're still battling for home court and that 9-10 seeding is important?
I mean, I think you always want to play home. There's a reason that the #1 seeds get home court, and there's probably an advantage there, so you want to get it. I always feel, regardless of home court, not home court, the most important thing to your team is the team's health, physically. So it'll be something we probably have to talk about. Obviously, I didn't know what you just mentioned of it here. Yeah. So it's a positive thing. Probably for both of us, it's probably going to come down to the wire. You know what I mean, in terms of playing that way. And now that you're in it, if I'm not mistaken, I think after the last regular season game, maybe there's 2 days till you play that game in between. So, I think those are all things we probably have to map out organizationally, looking at it. Certainly checking with the players. I think that's important. I think everybody's a little bit different. There's certain guys that find a good rhythm of playing. And there's some guys that may need rest. So we'll try to make those decisions, when they come. But certainly with what's in front of us, we feel like we still have a lot to play for. And to your point, the home court part of it is still part of it. And I'm sure they're going to be doing the same thing as well.
Billy, going back to something you said earlier, do you feel like you guys are getting to the paint enough to draw or generate those kick-out threes?
I think one of the challenges for us, all year long is we've been a pretty good team getting to the paint. Where our growth has happened, and it still, I think, can be better, is how we handle closeouts, and those decisions in closeout situations, whether it's to shoot it or create another drive. There were several opportunities where, we were trying to make a run. They certainly had control of the game, but when we got it down to 12, it was 13, you're trying to get it inside single digits. We had multiple possessions in a row where we had multiple drives to the basket, and we just never really capitalized, whether it was a corner 3 that we generated, or a 3 on the perimeter above the break, or something at the rim. Like I thought the paint stuff, we generated some good shots. Now, on some of those closeout situations in terms of the volume, you know, of those screening actions, DeMar is elite in terms of getting to areas of the floor that he gets to, and we need that. You know, he's just so consistent all the way through. And Vooch does get his share of pick and pops, but a lot of times he's in rolling situations in the pocket. He's outstanding in that area of the floor too. So you have two really good scorers that score from different areas of the floor. But when we do get downhill, whether it's through DeMar or DeMar getting double teamed or even Vooch getting double teamed in the post, when the ball does come out or sprayed out, you know, our ability to make the next, you know, the shot, the next drive, the next pass. You know, I thought when we got up 11-0, it was easy because I think we generated some of those points off steals. You know, and I thought we were, to be quite honestly, with some opportunities of advantages that we had, I thought we were really sloppy with the ball, particularly passing, you know, where we missed some opportunities to generate something maybe a little bit better than what we got.
What was your thinking with playing the Drummond and Vucevic moves? Watch for that fourth quarter.
You know, I felt that, like I said earlier, they were they did a really good job on both ends of the point of the screen, you know, and I just thought that because we were not shooting the ball particularly well, you know, we were not just, even the shots that we generated that were good looks, we just didn't shoot the ball well, you know, and we shot it obviously exceptionally well last night. That happens. I thought we needed to get some stuff at the basket, and I thought maybe with Vooch and Andre out there, one roll and one pop, and it could at least generate some size. One, either on post-ups, two, if there were drives, them offensive rebounding, and then also their screening, and it was going to force, you know, them to put a smaller guy on them and maybe have to change up matchups. I actually liked the shots that we generated. The defense wasn't terrible, but we never could quite get any traction making enough consecutive points with that lineup. But I like some of the things that they did.
Billy, going back to the three-point defense for a second, not to say that you guys weren't making any adjustments there, but at a certain point, like, everything's going in, and you said, like, obviously the priority is trying to wall off the paint, and then, you know, they're putting you in long closeout situations. Like, how do you improve in those situations where they are kind of stretching you out that way to where, you know, you are able to get out of some of those longer closeouts, or you are able to kind of take some of those away, just at a certain point when, like, everything's going in?
You're going to get into some binds like you're talking about, right? It wasn't that. It was pulling off the corners and trying to, like, and being in the wrong position. Not enough awareness on the backside. I think they were 6 of 9 maybe, or 7 of 10 from corner threes. Like, there's no way we should be giving up corner threes. It just shouldn't happen. I know it's going to happen sometimes being transition, but even the one to close out the half, there's a drive coming, and we kind of, I think Capella's on the baseline underneath the basket. Maybe Vooch is down there. Maybe Kobe kind of got caught in, and they threw it right to Matthews, and he knocks down a three, and the lead goes from, like, that should not happen. And Kobe's great. You know, he knew he kind of maybe came in a little bit too much, but there was too many of those. Like, those are the ones we have to clean up. There are some times you're just going to get into some binds. Like, they got into some binds too. We didn't make those shots. You know, last night against Minnesota, we made some of those shots. So it's more the corner threes for me that we got to be better at. And I think, to your point, some of that stuff, listen, they make a great play, you get caught in rotation, it gets there, and you try everything you can do to get out there. But a lot of it was strong side. Like, those are the ones we should not be giving up. Ball side, strong side, like, those are the ones we got. Sometimes when there's a roll and the ball gets skipped across the floor and you're in long Xing or rotating, that can be hard. And we had some of those issues tonight, in particular ones, but some of them were, quite honestly, some ball side threes. And then the other thing too is, if you're not great at the point of the screen, it's really hard. Like, you have to be really, really good there. And I thought, in a lot of ways, their guards got our guards off their bodies, and we were always kind of trailing and behind plays, and probably kept our big and covered a little bit too long because you had to protect the paint, protect the ball, and not just let the ball drive downhill. And that was certainly challenging for us.
What did you?
Last one.
What did you see in the paucity of the assists, you know, compared to field goals you made?
Yeah, I mean, I saw. I mean, that's the first thing I look at. I always look at assists. First thing, I was drastically low. But when you shoot 30-something% and 20-something% from the field and from three, it's never going to be high. My biggest thing is I always try to look at is what are the potential assists. You know, when the reports come in, you know, tonight and tomorrow, like what, you know, how well did we try to move the basketball, and did we create closeouts, and did we move it well enough to create more drives, like that kind of stuff. Because sometimes the assists on a stat sheet can be a little bit misleading, you know, because a lot of it's based on whether or not the ball was in or out. But like, I thought we had like a lot of really good potential assists. Like, I thought Alex got maybe 2 or 3 threes like in the corner after some really good ball. We didn't make any of them, but like, I thought it was really good offense and the kind of shot you want to generate. We just didn't make them.
Thanks, Coach.